The Empowerment Show aims to equip individuals with the necessary tools, knowledge, and confidence to make informed decisions and take control of their lives. It also focuses on ensuring access to essential resources and the opportunities.
All right, good evening. How you guys doing this evening? My name is Stevenson. Of course, I'm with my brother Yates. Ashe, my brother Ashe. How you this evening?
I'm doing well, brother. Hotep.
Yeah, Hotep, teach me about that one.
Well, Hotep is the way that that was a traditional greeting in ancient Kemet. Hotep.
Okay, which means
Yeah.
what?
Peace. Peace be with you. That sort of thing.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
We learn something new every day. We never get
Yeah,
so old
dude.
and learn something
Yeah.
new every day. We usually start the show off by being grateful for something or saying a prayer for somebody or going down that avenue. So right now I wanna say I'm thankful again for family and friends, especially in this time period. Um, I'm one of them cats who receive a social security check. I don't know what's gonna happen next month with this government shutdown. So I'm a little leery and weary about that. I have a daughter-in-law. She utilizes the SNAP program, and the way that they've been taking money out of it, of course, that's taking money out of the kids' mouths. So, but I still have a lot of things to be grateful for. I wake up in the morning and I can breathe the air. I think everybody should wake up in the morning and try to find something to be grateful for. I like to give a shout out to my man Ed. He's working for the FAA, and he's one of those brothers that's going to work every day, and he's not getting paid. And I think it's a damn shame that Congress, that all those people up there, they all took the same oath. All of them took the same oath that all of them are getting paid. They're all getting paychecks from the president on down, except for us, the American people. It's like they're just taking more and taking more and taking more. I mean, this man said he was going to lower prices. He put tariffs on everything. So now prices are going up crazy. He said he would take care of Medicare by lowering the prices of that. Okay, that's not happening because my copayment went up already. And they're talking about, what is it, November 1st, that all these different things are going to go up as far as your medical is concerned. People are nervous and they're worried, and they should be. You got these Nazis on with the chats that they're actually telling you who they are, or the young Republicans, and you got a senator involved in that. And the vice president got the nerve to get on the television set. You know what he said? He said, those are just kids messing around. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
those are kids messing around. Did you hear some of the nasty stuff that was in that chat? It's
I
ridiculous.
did. I did see some of the things that was said in the chat, but I don't think any of us should be surprised by this. This is stuff that has been going on, you know, since this country was established, right? Um, what the Trump administration is doing is just saying out loud what is normally whispered, right? But
Mhm.
they're just saying it out loud. And I guess in some ways you have to appreciate that. It's better to know who dislikes you, who hates you, than to not be so sure and end up in wrong company.
Well, I said the same thing when we talked about our civil rights. Civil rights was a law, and as you can see, the law can be changed. But the thing that needs to be changed is the attitudes of the people. So this is what needs to be worked on: is how are we going to change the attitudes of the people in this country, especially when you got a guy up there in the presidency who initiates all of this stuff, or all of this violence. He puts one people against the other. You got the Republicans against the Democrats, and who's talking about the American people? In between, that's what you got. You got the Democrats on one side, you got the Republicans on the other side, and in the middle, you got the American people. And they're the ones that, excuse my French, hold on, where's my damn jaw? Yeah, there you go. See, they're the ones that's getting fucked over, excuse my French, is the American
Hmm.
people. Because a lot of this stuff that is being paid for, we talked about this last week, if you remember, that we're sending trillions of dollars over to a country, Israel. Their kids go to school for free and they have universal health care. We just gave Venezuela $20 billion, bro.
Argentina.
Argentina, $20 billion. $20 billion. Thanks for the correction. But
And it
$20
may
billion.
rise to 40. It may rise to $40 billion.
So where
But
the
here's
money
the
coming
thing.
from? Because
Well,
this money is not coming out of their pockets.
no, it's not.
These guys can make all these decisions all they want, but that money is not coming out of their pockets. That money is from us, the taxpayer. Now, us, the taxpayer, we're not getting the opportunity to decide where the resources are going to be allocated. We're talking $20 billion to Argentina when we talking about we don't have enough money to take care of the SNAP program. We can't feed our kids over here. Our kids don't go to school for free over here. We don't have universal health care. And every goddamn thing is going up except my paycheck.
Well, you started this segment by saying that we need to change the attitude of the American people. And that's unlikely to happen because you have to ask yourself, how did we get here, right? It's not just Trump, because there were people that voted for Trump. And there was a poll that came out, I guess, last week. And in that poll, it showed that nearly a third of the American people still believe that Trump is doing an excellent job and that the country is on the right course, right? How? You can't say at this point that this is about fixing the economy because that's not happening. You can't say it's about bringing down prices because that's not happening. You can't say it's about ridding this country of waste and inefficiency when people were thrown off their jobs because they said, well, this job isn't necessary, just a waste. But now you have the president spending $250 million of the taxpayers' money to build himself a ballroom.
Of course, he said, this is what he said, that he's going to pay for it himself. Now, what did we say? He's going to pay for it just like the Mexicans, they're going to pay for the wall that they built. Okay, that's how it's going to get paid. It's going to get paid right out of taxpayers' money. And if he's spending all of this money on the Rose Garden, building all this other construction, what is it? He plans on not leaving. He must plan on sticking around. Why would you do all of this work if you're only going to be here a year or two?
Well,
in this case.
Well, I don't believe that Trump has any plans on leaving because if he does leave, he doesn't have protection anymore. He doesn't have presidential immunity. He won't have the backing of the courts anymore. So I don't think it's in the cards for Trump to leave, right? I think Trump will have to be removed from power. How that is going to take place is yet to be seen. But, getting back to the American people, right? All of these things, all these promises
You know
that
how
were
Trump
made.
is going to leave office? I'm going to tell you how he's going to leave. He's going to leave office kicking and screaming, just like this. That's the only way he's going to leave office, okay?
I don't.
He's not going to leave office on his own accord. You're going to have to call the cops in. You're going to, you're going to have to get all these people in to get this man out, because that's the only way you're going to get him out. Okay.
I think that it's going to be there are no bloodless revolutions, right? And I think that in this country, we've been here before, right? We fought the Civil War, right? And right now, this country is at a state of civil war. We haven't had the number of casualties that you would expect to see in a war, but that's right around the corner, right? The most dangerous person is the person that has nothing to lose. And for the American people, like here in Monroe County, Northeast Pennsylvania, you and I had on, or we talked to one of the candidates for treasurer for Monroe County, and he talked about the fact that our taxes went up 37%. Well, I ran into him a couple of days ago, and he said that next year, 2026, they're going to do a reassessment, and it is possible that there'll be another 30% or more increase. Already, for those living on a fixed income, right? That do not have the ability to absorb this rise in their cost of living. What's going to happen with the next one? So
Well, are they
what we
trying to
go,
turn us into a third world country? I'm just really understanding. I'm trying to understand because when you said that they're going to come and access, they're going to come and access my property because they want to see whether I have any permanent structures. So if I put a shed on, they consider that a permanent structure. So now my taxes are going to go up because I bought a shed.
well, what they're doing, what he said was this time, and I was talking to Ira Jolly, he said that they're going to do it by drone. So you won't have anybody come to your property.
Mm,
The drones will fly over,
mm,
make an assessment from the air, and based on that, they will decide the increase in your tax,
mm.
in your property tax.
And the
Again,
irony of is that we, the taxpayers, we paid for that damn drone.
right, right. We paid for the instrument of our own demise, right?
Right.
Well, that's what's happening, and what that will lead to is, of course, people will leave this area. They'll have to, right? Our taxes, if they continue in this current trend, before long, we will be pretty much the equivalent of what's going on in New York and New Jersey. And of course, people emptied out of New York and New Jersey because of the rising costs. And now here, costs are rising. Taxes, in terms of, just basic staples, bread, milk, things like that, the prices have remained high. Something that Trump said he would address when he took office. So, like I said, going back to the American people, those that still support Trump, it's not about making America great. It's not about fixing the economy. It's not about at least bringing down or attempting to eliminate the ballooning debt. Because in fact, if you think about it, Trump went and got Elon Musk and told him basically, and Elon Musk did it, take a chainsaw to the US economy, to workers. You're ridding this country of waste and inefficiency. Well, Trump went and had a $45 million birthday party
Parade,
for
right?
himself,
Yeah.
right? Then he decided, hey, I deserve a ballroom on the White House. So if you look, a section of the East Wing has been torn down, is under construction, is
Yep.
currently under construction. $250 million for a ballroom for one man.
For one man.
Then you add
And he
to
probably
that,
won't even be in office by the time they finish constructing it.
well, he will, because I think that, this ballroom he wants constructed within a year or so.
Mm.
But on top of that, right, you have the bailout of Argentina. So far, the Treasury has bought $20 billion of Argentine pesos. And they're saying, Scott Bessent, our current financial guru, is saying that there may be an additional $20 billion to prop up the Argentine economy or the Argentinian economy. How does that make America great?
It
How does
doesn't
that
make
strengthen
America
the
great.
U.S. economy?
It
It
does not.
doesn't.
It does not.
Right.
And everything
Right.
that this man is doing is not strengthening us as America. Over the weekend, what was it? The No Kings March. Did you check
Hmm.
out that protest? What was it?
7 million people. And
7
Trump
million,
said, right. And
7
Trump
million
said
people.
that this is insignificant, that this is basically an insignificant number of people. These are just radical leftists.
Yeah, radical leftists. Yeah, well, there's a lot of
7
Republicans that
million of
agree
them.
with that too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Please.
So, but the problem for me is, it was mind-boggling to me, is that you have a third, if the polling is correct, of the American people that say our country is headed on the right track and that we have the right leadership in place.
Well, my point.
So,
Here's my question: where we're supposed to end up at? You got hundreds of people that's already. Let me back that up. You got thousands of people that have been fired and lost their job, to the point where FAA they can't control the flights that are coming in and out. They're having issues with that. You got people that's calling off work that not even coming into work. So if you get ready to fly somewhere, you better check your schedule because you may not be able to go. They may have canceled your flight because of a lack of people. Right? The grocery store, that's going up. Medical, that's going up. Education, the price to get an education is gone up. You know? Everything has gone up. So where is he making America great against? You're putting white people against black people. You're going against the migrants and saying that they're bad. Okay, if the migrants are bad, well, hell, everybody in this country is a damn migrant. Okay, his granddaddy, his daddy. So for all he may even be a migrant, if you want to say, because they got some talk going around that he may not even be born in this country. And what was he came from Canada? His family came up from Canada?
See, you're kind of making my point for me, right? And that is that none of these things he's promised is happening. So why is it that there is a third, or possibly a third of the American people that still support him and his policies? His policies that are failing the vast majority of the American people. The only ones that are benefiting from Trump 2.0 is the top 1%, or probably the 1/2 of 1% that is benefiting. Those that have the ability to invest. Case in point, the Trump family just pocketed more than $1 billion in profits from cryptocurrency. If you go back a few years, Trump said, cryptocurrency, that could be a hoax. I don't know much about it. Now, all of a sudden, he's heavily invested in cryptocurrency. With all that.
I don't mean to cut you off, but also, we have politicians here, like the head of the FBI, Bondi, even the president. But they have stock in companies that are owned by China.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that. I'm like, really? So you're making money on this shit?
Well, you know what? The other day they talked about, Trump has watches that he's hawking. These watches are manufactured overseas. And they were saying that Trump may be a victim of his own tariffs because you have to import these watches from China. Who's going to pay the tariff? Right? So he may be a victim of his own tariffs, his own policies. But again, it goes back to the American people, right? It has nothing to do with making America great. It has nothing to do with saving the economy. It has nothing to do with bringing down the deficit. At this point, it's not even about immigration. But this is about retribution. This is about anger. This is about putting people back in the place that they think they ought to be. This is about this notion that our country has been taking, and we're taking it back. Taking it back from whom? Who took it from you?
And that's funny because honestly, they control the House, the Senate. They control all the parts of government. And for years, even without the control of government, they've always had this little white privilege. So damn, what more do you want? You have everything, but you want more. And you don't want anyone else to have anything. You want to have it all.
Well, therein lies the answer, right? I think what's actually happened is they had it all, right? They had it all. But they allowed American businessmen and the U.S. government to take it from them. So I was watching, a clip the other day, and I saw it on Facebook, and it went back to the Reagan administration. Well, let's go back even to Carter. When Jimmy Carter was elected in 1976, he was talking then about energy conservation. He was talking then about ending our dependence on fossil fuels. One of the first things he did was he put solar panels on the roof of the White House.
Right. I remember that.
4 years later, Ronald Reagan is elected.
And they took it down.
using the slogan, "Make America Great Again."
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things he did was took the panels off the roof. Then it was Reagan that started dismantling the U.S. labor movement. Thousands of high-paying American jobs went overseas. It had nothing to do with immigrants, blacks, Jews, women, or transgender. This was decisions made about American businessmen.
Mm-hmm.
And the president and his cabinet went along with it.
Mm-hmm.
If you recall, we have a shortage of air traffic controllers. Well, one of the things that Reagan did, he fired air traffic controllers because they want to strike.
Yeah. And
Then
the federal law that you can't go on strike.
the Taylor law. Then he fired the Greyhound bus drivers. Greyhound's a private company, but because of the Interstate Commerce Commission, he was allowed to fire them as well. So it was Reagan that started breaking the American labor movement. It was under Reagan that we started hearing about outsourcing. All of these jobs were lost. Well, I want to say not the Republican Party, but conservative talk radio began to control the narrative. They began to point fingers. They pointed fingers at black people. They pointed fingers at immigrants. They pointed all of their woes on the blacks, the Hispanics, the gays, the Jews, anybody but the people who actually made their lives pure hell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they talk about
LBJ,
stuff like
LBJ,
affirmative
bro.
action.
I always go back to LBJ, man.
Right. You know, they talk about things like affirmative action, right? We didn't ask for affirmative action. Who wants that? Who wants a program that's only going to give a small percentage of people a job and hope? We didn't ask for that. That was given to us.
No, yeah, but that wasn't for us to begin with. I mean, that was invented for white women. It wasn't there for black people per se. You know, just like when they talk about DEI, a lot of that was to help out white women.
My point exactly.
Right.
We didn't ask for that.
No, we didn't ask for it.
Right. We never wanted that. We never wanted that. That was not part of the plan.
All we wanted was a fair shake. Make it equal across the board. Okay?
Right.
You hire the most qualified person. You put blinders on and you hire the most qualified person. You don't look at a person for their okay. And hey, look, I tell you, when I got a job working for the phone company, a lot of people had thought that we got our jobs because of affirmative action. Now, in the military, when you do the military, Verizon was nice enough to give you extra points towards your, towards your being hired, right? Taking a test. I turned them down. I said, if I can't get this job on my own accord, maybe I shouldn't be here. You see? So I went and took the test one time in, I'm out, and I qualified to get the job. But still, people still thought that, even people that worked with us thought that, well, black people got their job here due to some sort of affirmative action. So it was ridiculous, man. Yo, we're gonna take a break, and on the other side, we're gonna come back. I want to talk about the cat that my man just let loose, George Santos.
Yes.
Yeah, we can chop it up about him a little bit or two. I was waiting for a guest to come on. We'll see if they do pop up. If so, that'd be great. If not, well, we'll move on. All right, we're gonna go into a little commercial break. So thank you. Hang on. Yeah, did you know Q just celebrated 5 years being in business? This is his 5th year anniversary.
Wow, that's quick. Time goes by so quickly now.
Yeah, over the weekend, he had a little thing going on down there, and it was kind of cool. He got a couple of awards from the what do you call the commissioner? What do you call it? The Commerce
Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, he got
Hmm.
an award from the Chambers of Commerce, and yeah, it was really cool, really nice to
Well
see.
deserved. Well deserved,
Well,
that brother.
well deserved. Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. Now talking about being deserved, this cat George Santos. I'm telling you, man, the only place that he needs to be is in jail. Even when they gave him 7 years, I thought that was too little for the crimes that he committed. And now here it is. Trump says, "Hey, you know what? Come on, get out. Let me give you a commuted sentence." That's BS, man. If you're a criminal, high criminal in this country, you get a pass. He get you out. You know?
You know what Bob Marley said? Bob Marley said, "You never have justice when the criminals write the laws," right?
Mm, mm.
And you
Oh,
know
you
what
said
you
something, man. You
have.
said something. Wait. You said something, man. You got to say
Mhm.
that again. What'd you say, man?
You will never have justice when the criminals are writing the laws, right?
Mm.
And that's what we have in this country. We have criminals who are writing the laws, who tell us what is justice, what is fair, what is equal. Trump said that George Santos was being mistreated
Hmm.
in prison.
Hmm.
Trump said that about Santos. What about the people that ICE is mistreating, that are being rounded up, that you hire, that you send out to round people up? Their mistreatment isn't horrible. The fact that these people are taken away from their family and sent to foreign countries without so much as due process of going to court for a hearing, just put on a plane and disappeared. That's stuff that America used to say used to happen in third world countries and in communist bloc countries.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're doing it here, and somehow it's okay. It wasn't okay when it happened in the iron behind the Iron Curtain. It wasn't okay when it happened in places like Myanmar or in places like Chile. But now that it's happening in this country, we justify it. And
Hmm.
this is what I mean about how do we change the mentality of the people here when they say, we believe in this country. We believe in the Constitution, but yet we're willing to sacrifice all of that for one man. We're willing to give up our freedom. We're willing to wreck our economy. We're willing to sell our children's future down the drain for one man's vision. And the
Well, remember,
vision he has is to wealth himself and his family, enrich
right,
himself.
right. Well, remember we talked about that before because people were willing to give up their freedoms for their so-called security, which is why we got National Guardsmen and the military and guys flying around Black Hawk helicopters, sliding, coming down into United States citizens, coming down into the cities, even though the Supreme Court still says that it is illegal. What is that? The Posse Comitatus Act? It is illegal for him to have military troops on soil. Now he's trying to say that he can do it because of the what is it? The recent some act,
Insurrection
the
Act.
insurrection, right?
Insurrection.
The
Right.
insurrection act, right?
Right. It wasn't an insurrection when he did it on January 6th.
No, that's not
That
an insurrection.
was that was a day of love,
Mm.
right?
That was
People were
peace.
killed. I believe 4 people were killed. Policemen, and members of law enforcement beaten. The the Capitol building was ransacked. I know there are some people that are saying, well, the doors were held open by law
Ah,
enforcement.
yeah, all right.
Well, if the doors were open, why did they break the windows and go in?
I don't believe that for a minute, man. Yeah,
Well, you know
there
what?
was actually people that was at that insurrection now that's coming back and they're actually speaking out and they're saying that what they did was a crime. What they committed was a crime. They were
Right.
criminals, and to me they should serve their time like any other
Well,
criminal.
again, right? When the criminals are writing the laws, right?
Mm-hmm.
Justice is determined by the criminal.
Mm.
So, if there was a door open, right? Okay, some people may have gone through an open door, but we saw the vast majority forcing their way into the Capitol. And you know something, the power suggestion is so strong. I remember 9/11, one of my coworkers, He said that on 9/11, he actually saw the plane hit the Pentagon. There has never been any footage anywhere of a plane striking the Pentagon. But if you put the idea in someone's head and you reinforce that idea through the media, through the media's messaging, then you can make people believe whatever you want them to believe. And we saw that in Nazi Germany, where we made people believe, or the Nazis made people believe that Jews, gays, gypsies, and a host of others were subhuman, and killing them, there was no consequence. It wasn't like killing another human. And right now in this country, we're dehumanizing Black people, brown people.
Mm-hmm.
We're dehumanizing homeless people. In some places, it is now a crime to be unhoused.
Oh, it is.
Right.
That's very true.
Right. Now we sent troops 3,000 miles to fight the Nazis, to end this cycle of oppression. And now we're the oppressor. In fact, we were always the oppressor. Hitler got many of his ideas from America. Forced sterilization, that came from here, from this country.
Well,
There
we've
is a
always been
famous
the ones
case.
with the biggest guns. That's all. We got
Right.
the biggest guns, so we make the rules. That's the way it always went as far as this country. But we're losing that. We're losing that slowly but surely. We got a president now that cares more about what's going on overseas and what's going on right here in his own country. He's committed to war on the American people. He said it. It's not me. It's not just a comment. He said it. War. He said war. He changed the Department of Defense to the Department of War, and he says war on the cities. That's the urban city, which means Black people. That's the code word for Black, urban, right? So I loved it. I tell you, when they had the No King's Day, I loved it. Those National Guardsmen, they were backing off. They were. A lot of them were acting civil. Now, some of them were acting like fools. They wanted to shoot the pepper spray at the people. Just foolishness, because nobody was being violent at all. No one. From New York City to Philadelphia to Chicago, no one was being violent, and there was no need for them to act out violent. I know that's what the president wanted. See, once they start acting violent, then he gives them the right to say martial law, and everyone start arresting everybody.
Well, that's going to happen, right? Because if the current trends continue, if you look across the country in some of these special elections, the Republicans have been losing race after race. And right now, many people in this country, and I think the pendulum is swinging, many people in this country are blaming the Republicans for the shutdown, because the Republicans have control of both chambers of Congress, the White House, and the judiciary. And yet,
the executive.
Right. So they have control of all three branches of government. And yet, the Speaker of the House, Speaker Johnson, has not brought the Republican caucus back to Washington yet to even talk about ways to reopen the government. He's just saying, well, it's the Democrats. Well, if it's the Democrats, why aren't the Republicans in Washington? Why are they still at home when people are suffering, when the military, who you asked to go out and be the first line of defense against other Americans, they're not even being paid. Yet your constituents, or rather the representatives, are getting a paycheck. They're sitting at home with their families, able to meet all their financial commitments, while the people who work the hardest, who actually make government work, are sitting at home not receiving a dime.
Hey, listen, I had something in my mind. Didn't want to lose train of thought, and it had to do with the government shutdown. So here it is. When they say that the Republicans shut it down, yeah, they did. They shut it down because the Democrats didn't have the power to do so. Only the Republicans, only the president, he had the power to do so, and he did so. And all of this is because of I don't like to say Obamacare. I like to say the Affordable Care Act, because originally that's what it was, and this is prior to Obama, that presidents have been trying to get this Affordable Care Act instituted. Now it got put in under Obama, so they gave it the nickname of Obamacare. But it's the Affordable Care Act. The Republicans, they don't want to fund it. So that means how many millions and millions of people are going to go without health care? So this is why the government is shut down, because the Democrats are trying to save and do right by the Obamacare, and the Republicans, they pretty much want to shut it down and get rid of it. But they're not giving you anything in its place. They're not offering you any other health care in its place. No other health plan. There's no policies or nothing like that. To
Well,
take over for what we're going to lose.
well, that's the question for the American people, right? It's not just healthcare, it's SNAP benefits for the poor and the elderly and children. It's education, right? We talk about making America great, but we're sending $20 billion to Argentina. Argentina and Brazil now are competing with American farmers for the growth of soybeans.
How
The
about
American farmers
that?
lost
Because it's fair.
the biggest market, which is China, right? They
Mhm.
lost that. And now Brazil and Argentina are going to step in and fill that void with American tax dollars.
And
And
because
yet,
their little hatred and racism that they have, and how many jobs did they lose now in Georgia? Because those people are not coming back. The people from what is it, Honda, from the Koreans? Do you really think
Hyundai,
Honda?
9,000 jobs.
Do you think they're coming back? I don't
I
think they're
doubt it.
coming back. I doubt it seriously. Why would
You
they?
know,
They can
well, you
go.
know what?
They can go to Argentina.
Well, the fact of the matter is, right? It's cheaper for them to build those cars abroad and ship them here, because if you open a plant in America, you have to deal with the tariffs. You have to bring in steel, imported steel for the chassis. You have to import the engines. You have to import the interiors, and these things are going to be tariffed heavily. So it's cheaper for them to build a car overseas and ship it to this country and just pay one tariff for the car instead of multiple for the parts. So right now, this country is being dismantled brick by
Right.
brick. And yet there are still people in this country, and it's just, that's the tough question.
That's
How
what they
can
call
you
it.
still
Because they
support
call it a
this?
cult. They call it. Remember Jim Jones? Why do people continue to follow him? All the way to their death, they stayed with him. Why? It's a cult. People can be brainwashed, manipulated. Well, it's a cult. I mean, I've talked to some people who say that they're MAGA people and they believe in everything that Trump did. And my question would be, well, can you name one policy, just one policy that Trump has initiated? Just one. There isn't. Everything is done
Well,
by executive order.
what you can say is, right, the only thing that really would be close to being a policy would be the roundup of so-called illegal migrants,
And he did
right?
that through executive order.
Right. But other than that, there's really no real policy. In fact, it's a shifting policy, because one day he says, we're going to give Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine so they can defend themselves against Russia. Then the next day he changes his mind and says, well, we're not going to give Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine because, well, we need those because we shot some of these Tomahawks into Iran. We were bombing Iran's nuclear sites. So we don't have the surplus to give to Ukraine. So it's a shifting policy. One day it's one thing, the next day it's something completely different.
Yeah, we're too
But
busy shooting people out in the middle of the ocean, little speedboats. We're too busy. We're too worried about that. Coming from
well,
Trinidad. Did you hear about that one?
yeah, and you know something, America strong-armed Trinidad some time ago to force them to reopen bases on Trinidad.
Huh?
Right. And the reason they're there is, well, you can attack Venezuela from Trinidad. It's that close. Trinidad had closed the bases and told America, we want you to go home. Well, now America went back to Trinidad using strong arm economic techniques and said, you know what, if you want to be able to sell your oil, you're going to allow us to reestablish a base here. And of course, America gets its way, the base is reopened, and now we have naval vessels off the coast of Venezuela. And we have a base in Trinidad that could serve as a launching point to attack Venezuela. Right. And I can kind of see that happening because not only does Venezuela have rivers of oil, Venezuela has probably the second largest deposit of gold outside of Africa. Mm-hmm. So with
the fourth largest oil deposit.
And you know something, with China controlling 70% of the world's rare earth minerals, America has to gain control of at least some of them. So that's why we're antagonizing Venezuela. That's why we talked about taking or trying to buy Greenland, because buried under the ice in Greenland, just rivers of rare earth minerals. Mm-hmm. The problem is Greenland, or the Danes, have never been able to extract those minerals because of the sheer thickness of the ice that coats Greenland. Well, how would America do it? Under Trump, we probably just drop a nuclear bomb, right? Just to blow away the ice, kill everybody else, and then say, well, you know what? There's rare earth minerals, so forget the millions of people we killed.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to bring us back to local. We're here in Pennsylvania, Monroe County. We have an election coming up November 4th. I don't really back anybody in particular, especially from the radio station, but I will back Patrick Best. Only because I've known Patrick Best for about 5 or 6 years, and he's actually true. He's not one of those candidates that just show up when it's time for an election or he's looking for your vote. He actually participates in the community, and that means everyone in the community, not just a particular group. And he's at every meeting that I've been at, AARP, NAACP, Black Caucus, the Democrat. He's been everywhere. Okay. And he comes from a good family. So I'm backing him. I'm also backing Janet Jackson, but I'm a Democrat. So mainly I'm backing the Democrats. So just here on the local side, just remember, please vote November 4th. We need you guys to vote every time it's an opportunity to do so. It's not only your duty, but it's also your right. People have died so that people that look like me just can have the right just get in there and vote. And it really pisses me off when we don't vote. If you don't vote, you don't have a voice. That's pretty much it's either one side or the other. It's not going to be anybody else. So not voting is not helping, you know.
You know what? Yes, Black people had to suffer some heavy losses to vote. If you think about it, hell, white women had to suffer some heavy losses in order to vote. Black men were able to vote in this country long before white women were. Mm-hmm. It's just crazy that in a country that says we're a democracy, you have to die to be able to go in and cast your ballot. But I get it. Voting is important, but I think at this point, right? I think that we're at war right now, right? I think that maybe we don't recognize it, but we are at war. If you look at the people who are being rounded up, they look like us. Mm-hmm. If you look at the people that are being sent to God knows where, that's us. If you look at these programs that were designed to, they call it meritocracy, the best candidates, the most qualified. Well, this anti-DEI stuff, it's aimed at Black, brown, it's aimed at transgender folks, it's aimed at women, right? Mm-hmm. And, voting locally, well, that's good for local, state and county issues. But on the national level, I don't know if we will have an election come 2026. I'm just talking about the midterms.
Well,
In
this is why I
terms
say
of the,
it's important, and this is why I say voting is so important. Because we didn't vote, we're in this situation that we're in now. You think about this. Do you think that this situation, this and this is it's hypothetical because we're not here. So just based on the two different candidates that we had to choose from, do you think that we as a people would be in this situation now if Kamala Harris had become president of the United States? Personally, I don't think so. I'm not talking about foreign policy. I'm talking about here, right here. I don't think we would be having discussions about whether our kids are still going to have a SNAP program. I don't think we have people worried about whether we're going to receive our Social Security check or whether they're going to be defunding our Medicare. I don't think we would be having those type of discussions. Now, everything else, yes, is important. But to me, the way that I have to live my life from day to day, the way when I go down to the store, how much is it going to cost me? When my kids or my grandkids, when they need an education or they have to go receive any medical care, that I have a system, that there's a system in place that I can get that. Not where I have soldiers running around in my city, like we're living in Nazi Germany or something like that. So to
Mhm.
me, voting is very important. We got in this situation because a lot of us didn't vote. I think it was like 8 million people that did not vote.
I
So
think we got in this situation, and this situation goes back generations. We got into this situation because after chattel slavery ended, we began to separate ourselves from, let's just call it, the majority population. We established our own communities, our own farmlands, our own hospital, stores, gas station, hotels. We had our own thriving communities. Well, some of those communities we know were attacked, like the Black Wall Street, like Rosewood, and hundreds of others, attacked and destroyed. Others we allowed to be dismantled. As soon as segregation in this country was struck down, we began to abandon the stores in our communities. We couldn't wait to run down to Macy's or to Bloomingdale's to shop at the stores we thought had stuff that was of better quality. Over time, our communities, our economic base collapsed. We've had so many leaders from Dr. King, Malcolm X, and the list goes on that said, listen, it is time for us to do what is right for us and by us. Now, here we are. Who controls the banks in our community? We
we
don't.
we
Who
don't,
controls the jobs in our
brother,
community?
we have no
We don't.
control over anything. But we
And
really never
that's
had
and
any.
that and that's why this is happening, because we were told this day was going to come when we would be completely cut off, when they would cast us aside, and we thought this will never happen. We were warned, but we didn't listen to the warnings. And now here we are trying to find ways. How we going to survive? How we going to ride this out?
Well, we became
A lot of
complacent.
us,
And we
and we
emulated.
still are,
We
and we
became
still
complacent.
are.
Well, I think like I tell you, I've been talking to a lot of these young people lately, and even recently, I just went to a networking where everybody gets to talk and tell who they are. And with so many black folks there, it was amazing when I saw all these different entrepreneurs where they're actually trying to come together and build. You know, they're trying to do things a little more quietly now, not so much as with the lot, just slowly but surely and getting things done by trying to come together as a community. I think the things, Black Wall Street, Rosewood, I think that we've actually learned a little bit more since then. Maybe how to prevent those things from happening again. But
We have to
we can still build.
you have to be able to defend yourself. Now, let me just give you an example. We talk about China in terms of being an enemy. I remember a man by name of Richard Milhouse Nixon went to China and said, I opened up China. It was American investment that went overseas to China. The Chinese sat back and watched and learned, and now they're beating America at their own game. We could do the same thing in Africa. You see it happening with
Well, you know
Burkina
we
Faso.
are, right? We are.
It's happening now, right?
Yeah.
And in America, we are the focal point. If the people in this country will realize maybe our future doesn't lie here, maybe it lies back in the continent or on the continent,
Listen, you
right?
got people here. You got people here that tell you this. I was born here. As far as they're concerned, their ancestors come from here, and they can only go back as far as slavery anyway. That's where a lot of people consider their ancestors to come from, not realizing that those people had ancestors too that didn't come from out of slavery. But you got people here that say I'm American, and I'm not going anywhere else. I was born in this country. I'm a part of this country. I have the right, and I'm a citizen of this country, and I'm staying. And if I got to fight for this country, I will. So you have those people out there that do that too. And then you have a bunch of other people that's just not ready to get up and go. And you have other people that don't have the resources to say, hey, I like to get up and go, but they just don't have the resources to do so. So there's nuances. There's nuances and nuances. But if we're at the end of our session, I'm not going to cut you off. I love you. But we're at the end. So what we're going to do now tomorrow, I'd love for you to drop in because she'll be on tomorrow. The guest that we've had on today, she ran into a little bit of an issue and she wasn't able to come on. She still had to keep working. But I'd love for you to come on tomorrow. You know, this is your home too, right? So you always got a home here, brother. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'd love for you to come on tomorrow, and we could chop it up again tomorrow. What's his Michael DeRosier? He may also pop his head in tomorrow as well. So we should have a nice little panel discussion.
Okay. I'll see if I can. I'll see if I can free up my schedule and pop on tomorrow.
Well, we're not. It's not till tomorrow 6 o'clock.
Okay.
I'll
see if I can free up my schedule.
Okay. I hope you can, because I love for you to come in. We got a lot to talk about. I'm glad we got through. We got talked about a lot of things today, and just so people know that the person that was a part of the Young Republicans, that one of them was called a kid. His name is Michael Riley, and Michael Riley is a New York Assemblyman. Okay, and there were also a couple of senators that were involved, and these guys were 35 years old and over. So when we talk about the attitudes of America and things that need to be changed, those things need to be changed. And the only way they're going to be changed is through the proper education. We know all the education here has been whitewashed and changed around, but we as African American, we can still teach our own kids. We have enough information out there. I got plenty of books, and all my children, they all know who they are and where they come from, and they understand our beginnings didn't come from slavery. We're much, much beyond that. But on that note, brother, I'm going to say ashe. I'm going to say peace to the audience and everybody that tuned in. Thank you. Please hit the subscriber button, and we'll be back next week on Tuesday. It's known as Politrics. We come on every Tuesday at 5 o'clock. If you have a comment, leave a comment. This way we can get back to you about what you have to say. All right, my brother, ashe, peace.
Ashe, brother, peace.